you, Gil, and welcome, Marlène, and welcome everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here. I have to say, we've moved this tasting so many times, Marlène. I'm so sorry, and also sorry to any members who had already signed up to some of the earlier dates. But at least it's happening now. That's the important thing. In, of course, a very important year for us, the Wine Society. A very important year for me because it's my final year at the Wine Society. And actually, this is my final online event. So it's a pleasure to be doing it with you, Marlène.
Pleasure.
And of course, it's an even more important year for the Dopff family. Because whilst we're celebrating 150 years, which we're pretty proud of, your family is celebrating 350 years, which is quite astonishing. I still struggle to get my head around it, I must admit. But anyway, you're going to give us some of that history, which I'm looking forward to hearing again. So thank you so much for joining us on a Friday evening, a very warm Friday evening. And yeah, hand over to you. I shall be joining you very shortly with a glass of Cuvée, Julian. But for the moment, over to you.
Okay, then hello, Joe. Hello, everybody. I'm very pleased. I am delighted to be with you during 1 hour tonight and to celebrate the 150th anniversary of the Wine Society. Then let me speak about the estate. The Dopff family is settled in Riesling since 1574. Meaning that this year, as you said it, Joe, we are celebrating the 450th anniversary of the first Dopff in Riesling. Speaking of that, let me introduce you our family tree. I hope you can see it behind my back. And I will go through the different generations to explain why and how we are here now in Riesling. Then the Dopff family comes from Erringen in Germany, and the Dopff family is a Protestant family. Maybe you have already heard about Protestant wine or Catholic wines. Here you are with Protestant wines. Bartholomew Dopff then was the first Dopff to settle in Riesling. He didn't work at first in the wine business. He was a hat maker. And his son, Jean-Georges, didn't work anymore in the wine business. He was master in theology. But the next generation started to work in the wine business, and they were master and barrel makers. And I made some researches, and at that time, barrel makers were people that used to build the barrel, but they were also taking care of the wine inside the barrel. And in fact, they were our oenologists. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations of barrel makers, all working in the wine business. And the next generation was a gourmet. It's a French word. And once again, I made some researches, and the gourmet were the traders at that time, because you have to consider that at that time, the wine growers were in the vineyard. They were taking care of the vines. They were taking care of their wines, but they didn't know how to sell. They didn't have the contact to sell the wines. Then the gourmets were here to sell the wines. They were between the winemaker and the seller. And the buyers used to come in Alsace. They used to taste in different estates. And at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, they did their choice. And they said, okay, I want the wine from this estate. The wine was still in fermentation. Then the gourmet was here 2, 3, 4 months later to say, okay, this is this wine that my buyer choose, and I want to be sure this is this wine that the buyer will get. Then they were the trader, and they were warrant of the transaction. Okay. You have also to know that the gourmet were expert in tasting. they were able to recognize a terroir from Riesling or a terroir from Bergheim. They were really expert in tasting. After the gourmet was Dopff Jean. After we had Dopff Jean Gustave. We don't know a lot about Jean Gustave except that he was Julian's father. And we have a lot of things to say about Julian. His real name was Gustave Julian, because if you know the Dopff family is very playful, and they really like to play with the game, with the first name, and I will explain you this later. Then the 10th generation is Gustave Julian. And Gustave Julian, when he was 18 years old, went to Paris with his parents. He was at the Universal Fair. It was in 1900. And he assisted to a demonstration of the méthode champenoise, now called the traditional method. And he has been thunderstruck by this innovation, and he decided to go in Champagne to learn about the vinification and to learn about the business of the Champagne. He stayed 2 years because 2 years later, his parents asked him to come back in Alsace. They needed him to work at the estate, and he said, okay, I come back, but under one condition, I want to produce some champagne. And his parents said, okay. Then back in Alsace, he used to buy the must from Champagne, and he vinified the must in Alsace. But very quickly, the Champagne authorities said, we want to stop this business because we want to keep our grapes for Champagne. Then Julian had a great challenge, and the challenge was to find the good grape varieties who would be able to produce the best sparkling. I have said sparkling, and by the way, I have something to show you. Yes. This is a panel Champagne Dopff, and you can see Raschenweiler. In fact, it was Riesling because at that time, Raschenweiler was German, and Julian had some offices also in Epernay, für Ausland. Okay, but he didn't use this panel during a long time, of course. As I was saying, the great challenge was to find the good grape varieties to produce the best sparkling. Julian was a genius, and he was ambitious. And we think that for him, it was very difficult to have some champagne and after to have a mousseux. Then he decided to work to get the AOC Crémant d'Alsace. And in Alsace, we obtained this AOC Crémant d'Alsace in 1956. And Julian died in 1972. Then he didn't see the achievement of the AOC Crémant d'Alsace. But this is thanks to Julian that we have now in Alsace some Crémant.
It's fascinating to hear that that was the start of sparkling wine in Alsace, which has become so important to the region now. I mean, it's growing enormously, yes. Isn't it? So yes. Fascinating to be so linked to that early history.
Yes, exactly. Alors, of course, Julian is at the origin of Crémant d'Alsace, but at one time he asked some colleagues to work with him to make some experimentation. And because we think that Julian was thinking that alone he wouldn't have been able to produce anything. You have to be a group to be able to obtain an AOC Crémant d'Alsace. Then Julian had 2 girls on the son, and his son, Julien Pierre, did the job on the Crémant d'Alsace to obtain this AOC. And after Julien Pierre, we have Pierre Etienne, Pierre-Etienne was my father-in-law, and maybe some of you met him because he was a great lover of Great Britain. He really loved British people. He was a great man, and he had a great sense of the British humor. Maybe you met him, Joe?
I never did actually, unfortunately, but
okay.
Marcel certainly
Marcel,
did. I think it was Marcel who began working with you some years ago, so he certainly did.
Yes, okay. And after the 13th generation is my husband, Etienne Arnaud. What can I say about him? Of course, it's a fantastic man. And this year, he is Grand Maître at the Confrérie Saint-Étienne of Kinsheim. The Confrérie Saint-Étienne is a brotherhood. And this brotherhood has a big challenge. They have a huge œnothèque with very, very old vintages of wine from Alsace. And this is a big job for him this year. On the top of the family tree, we added our two boys last May. Then you have Arnaud, Hugo, and Baptiste. I am very happy to see them on this tree. And we hope that maybe one of them will work to the estate one day.
I was going to ask you that. They're too young to be making that kind of decision. It's too soon, but there must be quite a with so much history, so many the ancestors that you've just been describing. Do you feel does Etienne Arnaud feel a weight of responsibility for the family name and continuing the family name? It's so
I would say yes and no.
Okay.
But for our children, we don't want to force them, of course. If one of them want to work with us, or both of them, it will be their choice. But let's wait and see. But we know Baptiste the second is on holiday for the moment, and he wake up every morning at 5 o'clock to be with the vineyards team in the vineyard, and he really enjoy this part. Then let's wait and see.
No, that's wonderful. And I should say that the family tree, when Fiona and I came for our handover trip,
yes,
you had just received the new painting with the boys' names added.
yes.
So we saw it in real life, if you like. It's very beautiful. It's so beautifully done. So yeah, if you ever get the chance, anyone to go and see that, it would be well worth seeing. It's a lovely piece of work.
And we are always happy to present our customers this family tree. Then one moment before, I was saying that the Dopff family was playful. She's playful because we have 10 different Crémant. But just before the Crémant, I want to explain that she's playful because of the first name they have. In fact, the second particle of the compound first name is given to the children. Then let me show you. You have Dopff Jean, ensuite Dopff Jean Gustave, and then Gustave Julien, Julien Pierre, Pierre Etienne, Etienne Arnaud, and our first son is Arnaud Hugo. The second is only Baptiste. But playful also, for example, with our Crémant. As you understand, we are the pioneer of the Crémant in Alsace, and we have 10 different Crémant with different dosages, with different blends. And of course, the Wine Society can't have them all. They choose the best one. But if one day you come in Alsace, please come to taste them because they are so different. It's very nice. We had 10 different Crémant until 2 months. Of course, now we have a new one because to celebrate the 450th anniversary, we elaborated a new cuvée of Crémant, and we called it Cuvée Bartholomé. to commemorate Bartholomé that arrived in Riesling, setting down our roots in the landscape of the winemaking, setting down our roots in the Riesling landscape. Then this new cuvée is a blend of Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, 80% Chardonnay, 20% Pinot Noir, vintage 2016. 1/3 of the blend as fermented is in big barrels, big oak barrels. And because we wanted a real pure Crémant, we decided to do it without dosage. And for this specific cuvée, we wanted also a specific label. And I asked an artist, the artist Aurea. It's a very nice woman. She's living in Strasbourg, and she's the artist of the Strasbourg Cathedral. And she took the pictures of 6 ancestors. And she also took some pictures of vines roots, and the faces and the roots are all linked together. Maybe I can show you the artwork she did. I will have to move. Est-ce qu'on voit? Yes, we can see it. Up. Just here. Can you see it? Yes, okay. Then we have 6 faces, but once again, this is a game to find them. You have Jean, then you have Jean-Gustave, Gustave Julien, Julien Pierre, Pierre Étienne, Étienne Arnaud. Up, can you see Étienne Arnaud? And in Étienne Arnaud's eyes, you have our 2 children.
That's very clever.
Yes.
Because
and
actually, from a distance, I didn't even see the faces. It was only as you started to pick them out, then I could see them.
Okay, and you can see the vines roots just here, and all the faces are linked. All the ancestors are linked thanks to the roots.
Very clever.
Okay.
And so that artwork you have used as the label for the special cuvée.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful.
But not in black. It's not black and gold. It's other colors. And we have a nice packaging for it, also.
Very smart.
Well,
okay. I'm going to open my bottle of Cuvée Julian.
Okay, I think I will do it also.
Yeah, just to be able to raise a glass in celebration. And when you mentioned earlier the history of hat making in the family,
yes.
Now I realize because Marcel, who came to your celebration in June,
yes.
My colleague Marcel, he shared a picture of Etienne with a top hat.
Yes,
so I
exactly.
suppose that was a reference to the history of the hat making.
Yes, and we asked every guest to come dressed like in the 1900s.
Okay.
To celebrate Julian, and we all worked on the Schoenenbourg, and we were all dressed like this. It was
fantastic.
very funny.
No, it sounds good fun.
Yes,
and I think Marcel was supposed to join you for your party with customers, and in fact he missed it, and so he joined the staff family party, didn't he?
Yes, but it was nice. Yes,
that was so kind of you to welcome him to your staff party. He loved it. He had an absolute ball.
Okay, good, because I was so sorry that he didn't join us for the event. He came late, but we would have welcomed him, of course. But I called him the next morning, and I was very happy he was still there. And I told him, please come tonight.
So kind. Okay, I've got my glass.
Me too.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
cheers
Cheers.
to the Wine Society anniversary.
And to the Dopff family and Dopff Moulin, continued success, another 450 years.
We will try. Big challenge.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Mm.
Then,
Oh, that's lovely. That's a real treat. A Friday night glass of something bubbly is delicious.
yes, with this weather conditions, this is just perfect.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Then,
So tell us the story of Cuvée Julian.
okay, the Cuvée Julian is a blend of Pinot Blanc and Auxerrois with a dosage at 4.6 grams of sugar per liter. I would say this is a perfect appetizer to celebrate a wedding, a baptism, or only like today to celebrate the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
You can see this bright yellow color with some very nice fine bubbles. The nose has some pear and citrus aromas. On the palate, it is very fresh, very elegant, with some floral touch. It is also very generous. You have a very nice acidity with a very nice length.
I love the balance in this wine because it's very easy to drink, but it's got very good freshness as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's easy to drink on its own. You could have it with food.
Yes.
I think that the Crémant style it's no surprise that it's becoming more and more popular because I think it's a very attractive glass of sparkling wine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this blend, Crémant can be made from lots of different grape varieties, can't it? You explained your prestige cuvée is your new cuvée is a Chardonnay Pinot, whereas
Yes.
this wine is classic Alsace grapes.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
And so it can be made from lots of different grapes, but in this particular case, you've stuck with this, and this it really works, doesn't it?
Yes, but the Cuvée Julian is our flagship. We sell it all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Then it means it is really easy to drink and easy to understand.
Yeah.
Maybe I can remind you the Crémant process. Because we need to harvest the grapes dedicated to Crémant at the very beginning of the harvest season to keep a hint of acidity, to have the perfect balance. The first fermentation takes place in a vat, and then we are bottling the wine or the blend. We add some yeast and sugar, and the second fermentation takes place in the bottle. That's why we have some bubbles. The AOC Crémant d'Alsace requires 12 months on the lease, but at the estate, for us, it's important to propose you the best bubbles, and we keep them on lease minimum 24 months. Then after those 24 months, we will place the bottles in some gyro pallets, and the bottles will go from the horizontal position to the vertical position in order that the lid goes on the bottleneck. But we did this very, very carefully. Our Crémant cellar has a temperature control system because we need to have the same temperature all the year long. And then the gyro pallet system is very careful. When the bottles are on the vertical position, we will freeze the bottleneck at minus 25 degrees Celsius. And after we will uncork. And because we have 6 bar of pressure in the bottle, the cork will be ejected. And then we have to refill the bottle to get the correct volume. And we will refill the bottle either with some Crémant to get a non-dosage Crémant, or with an expedition liqueur to give a style to the Crémant. And then the bottle is washed and dressed with a label, back label, a cap, and it is ready to drink.
That's a very nice, clear explanation of the champagne method, the traditional method of making sparkling wine.
And we are using the grapes from Alsace.
Yep. And I know when Fiona and I were visiting you, you were explaining to us that the Crémant d'Alsace is determined to maintain the quality levels, and so they've resisted the suggestion of reducing the minimum time on the aging on the lees.
Yes,
which I think is so important. You've all done so much work for Crémant d'Alsace. It would be a shame to lower that quality. So I think that's, you know,
yes,
fully supportive of that move. Yeah, it's delicious.
Thank you. Now I propose you to move on the Riesling, maybe?
Yeah, with pleasure.
Alors, I have two glasses tonight. One glass dedicated to sparkling and another one dedicated to Riesling. And they are from Riedel. And we bought them for our special event for the anniversary.
Ah, so are they their special glasses designed for those styles of wine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And we made some tasting with our oenologue with 3 different brands of glasses before the event, with 1 Crémant, 1 Riesling, and 1 Riesling Grand Cru Schoenenbourg. And at the end, we decided that it was with Riedel that we wanted to work for the event. And we can really see the differences. But I think you already did this game.
I've been lucky enough to do it 2 or 3 times, and it really is fascinating. It's well worth trying if you know, especially if you're skeptical. I would really suggest giving it a try, because it blows your mind the difference it makes.
Yes, but they are very fragile. We have to be very careful.
Yes.
Okay, then let's continue with the Riesling. Alors, we decided to propose you a Riesling from the family estate vintage 2018 and a Riesling Grand Cru Schoenenbourg also from the vintage 2018. You have to remember that in Alsace, this vintage was a very hot vintage, but we had a very, very nice quality. And I want to quote our oenologist because he said something very nice about this vintage. Where is it? Alors, Pascal Bateau is our oenologist. He said about the Grand Cru vintage 2018, this Grand Cru has been harvested early October with great maturity and an excellent acidity levels. For this hot vintage, it is pure magic. Yes. Yes. And I want to show you the difference between a classic Riesling and a Riesling from a Grand Cru to show you the power of the terroir. Then at first we have the Riesling from the family estate. Do you have it also? No.
I don't know whether Gil has this one.
Ah, okay. And
I just have the Cuvée Julian.
does he want to speak about it?
Sorry, I do indeed, actually. I've just got this in my glass.
Oh, good.
A little bit left. Absolutely glorious. Absolutely delicious. Yes.
Thank you.
I was quietly sipping it a little bit there. Beautiful one. Yes, members, let us know as well if you've got this in your glass. I know a few of you had the Cuvée Julian as well, which was lovely to see.
Then what can we can say at first that the nose is very mineral, very dry. Ah, okay.
And Marlène, Riesling is a very big part of your production. We should say to everyone that hasn't had the opportunity to visit, you produce the whole range of styles in Alsace,
Yes.
red, white, obviously lots of
Sparkling.
sparkling. So you have all of the grape varieties, but because we were only going to talk about 3 wines this evening, we thought it was interesting to compare the Rieslings and just go into a little bit more depth on the Rieslings and talk about the Grand Cru, which is your home Grand Cru in the village of Riquewihr.
Yes,
but Riesling is very important to your
in
overall
our
production.
estate, yes, we have about 20% of our superficie in Riesling.
Okay.
And this is also our favorite grape, let's say. At the Moulin, the Riesling is king. On the Riesling, when it is young, it has some citrus notes. It is very vivid. And when it becomes older, the minerality will appear. And this is just magic. Riesling is very dry also. And you can feel it in this vintage 2018. It is very generous. It is due to the hot vintage. And you have the texture is has a very nice density. It's almost velvet, but it is really due to this typical vintage.
Yep. And this was when you came over to our tastings in, yes. I think it was February, wasn't it? January or February?
Yes, in London,
early in the year.
Manchester. Yes,
early in the year. Anyway, yeah. So this was one of the wines that you were showing there, I think. Yes. Yeah.
And I had also the Pinot Noir vintage 2018 because for me it was a fantastic Pinot Noir. But this way we did we will do mostly all the year with the vintage 2018 at the Wine Society. And as wine and food pairing, I can suggest some oyster, all kind of seafood, of course, or also with spike dumpling. Imagine it with spike dumpling and with a creamy sauce with a hint of citrus, and that's just perfect.
That's good.
And this is soon dinner time. Okay. Now I propose you to move on the Riesling Grand Cru Schoenenbourg. Okay. Here is the bottle. And vintage 2018.
So this is the wonderful Grand Cru that is behind
the estate.
As you arrive in Riquewihr, you see this fantastic vineyard slope, and it's the Schoenenbourg, which is up behind your property in the center of Riquewihr.
Exactly. And the Riesling Grand Cru Schoenenbourg has 53 hectares. And I think we are at about 300 meters. Its soil is made of marls and limestones. And in this Grand Cru, you have two sides, the west side and the east side. And on the west side, you have this kind of marls. I think you can see them. It is gray marls. It's very nice. And when you touch, it's very soft. And you have also some gypsum. You can see it. You can see the white part is gypsum, and just below the gray part is our marls. It is very heavy soils. And on the east part, you can find some limestones.
Okay.
And sometimes on the east part, you also can find some fossils, some oyster fossils. It means that a long time ago, those two parts were divided, and that on the west part, you had shadow water, because in order to get some gypsum, you need some shadow water and warm water. And it means also that on the east part, where we found some oyster fossil, it was a deep water.
Ah, okay.
Yes. And now it has been decided that it was only one Grand Cru. My husband is here and he's saying hello. And Dopff Moulin has some plots on each part of this Grand Cru.
Okay.
And for the moment, we used to blend them. And I hope that one day we won't blend them anymore, to have the real expression of each part of the Schoenenbourg.
That would be fascinating. Yeah,
Yes.
to be able to compare those.
But we compare them because we are vinifying plot-wise, but after we are blending, because since decades we have our own style, and the customers are waiting this style. But one day I hope we will be able to propose some plot-wise wines.
Yes.
Then let's go on the tasting. Then you can see it's very nice, bright yellow color. Now the nose is quite fantastic because you have passion fruits notes, you have pineapple, and you have also minerality because this is a Riesling. You have silky attack with a straight acidity, and once again you have a very nice texture. Yes, the attack is silky, but the texture is velvety, I would say. Do you have it? Do you have it, Joe?
No, I don't have this one. I literally just got the bottle of the
Cuvée
Julian.
Julian.
But the you came to one of our 150th events early in the year.
Yes.
And then at the event that we had in Bristol, which I think was in April, we had one table where we were showing, we gave a few examples of how wines change as they mature. And we had and I was on that table, and so we had some Bordeaux, we had what did we have? I think we had something Australian. Anyway, we had two vintages of your Schoenenbourg. We had the 2018 and the 2014.
Okay.
So, okay, not a big difference in age, but it was nevertheless a very noticeable difference in age. And people discovering that for the first time were absolutely fascinated at that development, different characteristics of the vintage as well. But, just that bit of development after 4 years in bottle, it was really interesting to taste.
Yes, and when Riesling becoming older and older, you have those flint aromas that are just fantastic. Alors, as wine and food pairing, I recommend it also with seafood, oysters, but also, and maybe it can be a surprise for you, but also with a foie gras, because it is generous, and the balance with the foie gras can be very nice. And when you are working on the Schoenenbourg, if you are lucky, you can see Switzerland, and you can also see the French Alps. And it's magical.
It is. It's a from the top you have the most fantastic view of a lot of the certainly the local Alsace vineyards, but as you say, on a clear day you have astonishing views out across across Europe effectively. So yeah, really fascinating. Really fascinating. And parts of it are very steep, aren't they?
Yes, but it's okay. It's okay to work the vineyard. It's okay. We have also some plots on the Grand Cru brand in Turkheim, and this is very, very difficult to work on it.
Okay.
But the Schoenenbourg, it's we can manage.
Okay.
We can manage.
No, fascinating. I think Gil, you've got some rather nice photos of I think they're of the Schoenenbourg, certainly harvesting.
He's still with the Riesling.
Sorry, yes, let me just
Probably.
share that screen here. Let me see if we've got the right one for you.
I just thought as we were talking about these beautiful vineyards, it would be rather nice to see them.
This is the harvest on the Schoenenbourg. You are right, Joe. And yes, I think it was in 2018 or 2019.
Okay.
And as you can see, all our grapes are unpicked. 100% of our harvests are unpicked. For us, it is really mandatory. And I read an article recently that said that nowadays, only 10% of the total amount of the harvest were unpicked. Then I think
in Alsace?
No, worldwide.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Well, then we really have to fight to keep the tradition, because it's important that humans stay in the middle of everything.
And to be honest, some of the vineyards you have simply wouldn't. Well, they would be almost impossible to pick with a machine. But
yes.
You obviously feel that the quality is worth the extra effort. Do you have? We hear so often now about the difficulties of getting enough people to come and pick the grapes. Is that a problem that you've been having the last few years?
Yes, not last year, but the year before, we were very worried because nobody came to harvest.
Right.
And for some plots, we had to harvest them. And we have to confess that day we asked for a machine, but it was the only one, only that day. Last year it was perfect. We find enough people, and finger crossed that this year we will find enough people also to harvest.
Yeah, good.
Yes. Then I spoke about the story of the estate, but let's talk about the story about the estate today, because today we have a team of 55 people.
Okay.
They are all very involved. As I was saying, hand harvesting is mandatory. And we started the organic conversion in 2021. And hopefully we will get it in 2027. But we have 64 hectares, and it's not an easy task to convert a whole vineyard in such a short time. We had to buy.
Did you say 64 or 54?
No, 64 hectares.
64
hectares, yes.
Yeah, it makes sense to do it
step by step.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. We experience 2 or 3 grape varieties at first, and after we did 2 or 3 other grape varieties and so on. And in 2017, we will be fully converted. But it's a huge challenge for our vineyard team, because they had to learn a new job, in fact, a new way of working. And this year it is really difficult because we had very bad weather conditions. We had a lot of rain, and of course we get some diseases like mildew and oidium, and it was difficult. I think it will be nice now, and we hope that we won't have any impact on the harvest, but let's wait and see.
But you were saying that you have a beautiful day there today, like we do here in England. So yeah, let's hope that the forecast is good, because these are critical times now, aren't they, for the rest of the summer? Yes.
And yes, fingers crossed.
Absolutely. And are your anniversary celebrations continuing, or are you now back to work as normal?
Oh, we are now back as normal. Of course, we will have some small events, but not as huge as the event we did the 7th of June.
Yeah.
But we are very proud, Etienne Arnaud, myself, and our children, to have the opportunity to celebrate this big anniversary, because we will do that only once in our life. And we were joking, saying that that we won't be here to celebrate the 50th 500th anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
And my son told me, I will be there, but I will be 70 years old. And I said, oh my God, no.
It is hard to imagine, isn't it?
Yes.
But
I hope they will celebrate it.
yeah. No, that would be only right, I think. Yeah, absolutely. And so what are at this time of year, is it quieter now? Is it quite busy in the vineyards at the moment?
At the moment, we are doing I don't know to say it in English, the palissage. I think it's treillis.
Mm-hmm. Training the vines.
Mm-hmm. Then it's a huge job because on some plots we did it with tractors. On some other plots we did it by hand.
Okay.
And very soon, next week, our vineyard team will be on holiday during 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And we hope that the weather will be good.
I'm sure they do too.
Yes. And after we will start the harvest season. It's a very nice moment for us. Because
for you, how long does the harvest take? I suppose because you have so much Crémant, you start very early. Yes, we are starting usually end of August. We have 2 weeks to harvest the Crémant. Mm-hmm. And after, depending the maturity of each grape variety, we are harvesting, and usually we harvest during 2 months. That's okay. Very long, but and sometimes even more. But it's Mother Nature decided when we have to harvest. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, so it's the result of all the hard work of the year. So it's a hugely important time. Yes, and this is also why we don't want to use some machine to harvest, because we spend so many time in the vineyard. We really take care of all those vines. And if a machine comes, it will destroy some grapes and so on. We will have to add some entrance during the vinification, and we don't want that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Excellent. So, Gil, I wonder, do you have any questions for us? I haven't had a chance to look at the.
Yeah, so there's 1 or 2 questions there about Crémant, just to go back to Crémant. But before we do, if I may, you mentioned with the Schoenenbourg and the Grand Cru, the different soil types there on the west and the east, and potentially in the future sort of separate parcels to produce very separate wines there that showcase or present differently. But I wonder, in terms of for the currently with the Schoenenbourg Grand Cru now as a blend of the 2 parcels there, which or what styles, I suppose, what typicity, or what does each area and parcel bring to the wine? Our Riesling Schoenenbourg are generous, and this generosity comes from the soil, because you have some very heavy soil. If one day you come and walk on the Schoenenbourg, you will have some the soil is on your shoes. It is quite sticky, and this typicity, you find it in your glass. Generosity, it is a bit, it is full-bodied, a bit heavy, and you have those passion fruits aromas, and a typicity of the Schoenenbourg is also pepper notes, very typical. The salinity is very often present on the Schoenenbourg, and it is due to the gypsum. I show you. But when you have a Grand Cru on some Mars, you have a kind of full-bodied wine. Mm-hmm. And I was with you, Joe, I think in Bristol, as you mentioned there, when we showed the 2 vintages, this particular vintage 2018 and the 2014, both absolutely beautiful wines.
drinking incredibly well then. But for the 2018, and forgive me if you mentioned this, I got sort of engrossed with the various soil types as you were showing them. How long do you think this particular one, how will this wine develop over the next few years?
They will develop on the minerality side, and at a time you will have some flint aromas. But Riesling Schoenenbourg, you can keep them 10, 20 years. Usually when we go on some events like Wine Paris or Provine, we always bring with us very old, an old vintage like 2000, and we propose them to taste as blind tasting, and people are really surprised because they are still quite fresh. But you have the acidity that maintain the balance of this kind of wine. And the Schoenenbourg, you don't have to drink it too young. For the moment, we are selling the 2018 and the 2019, but for us, the 2019 is too young. It's still a baby. The Schoenenbourg needs time to develop itself. It needs time. And it's important to leave it some time.
And actually, that's quite noticeable with Alsace producers, that a lot of you are keeping the wines, only releasing the wines when you believe they're ready for drinking.
Yes.
So you won't be selling 2023 Riesling or 2024 Riesling for quite a few years. So you allow the wine the time to settle down in bottle and to start really showing its true character, I suppose, which is very good, because often when they're young, they're actually quite difficult to taste. I mean, not so much from the tank. I love tasting those young wines from the tank, but then the minute you put them in the bottle, often they will close up again. And so they just need that time, don't they, to open up a little bit more in the bottle. So we're very fortunate that you are able to do that.
Yes, but for us, it's very important to propose you and of course, for a Grand Cru, it's even more important to show you the real potential of a terroir. And when you are working in the wine business, you need to be patient with the nature, patient in the cellar also. And yes, our wines need time.
And then if we may go back to Crémant, sort of where we started, as it were, there. But a question from one of our members in regards to the style of Crémant in comparison, I suppose, to say Champagne, using the Champagne method that you mentioned there, that traditional method. The main varietal for Crémant d'Alsace would be Pinot Blanc. Am I right there in terms of the variety?
In fact, you can use several grape varieties in Alsace. You can use Pinot Blanc, Auxerrois, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, Riesling, and Pinot Gris. You can't use the other grape varieties. But at the estate, we don't believe in the Riesling and in the Pinot Gris to produce a Crémant. But this is our choice. This is our taste. But you can use several grape varieties if you wish.
And for the Cuvée Julian that we tasted here, you mentioned, I think, 24 months it rests on the lees. Is that typical of Crémant d'Alsace, or is that a choice from yourselves at Dopff that others perhaps are a little less time, or is 24 months?
In fact, in the AOC Crémant d'Alsace, you need to keep your Crémant minimum 12 months on the lees. But at the estate, it's our choice to keep them minimum 24 months. And we want a very precise bubble. That's why we keep them 24 months on the lease. But I have to say that our bank are not very happy about this, but this is our choice. Because our Crémant cellar, we have
2 years of stock of Crémant in our Crémant cellar. It is huge.
Yeah, it's a big investment, but I think, yeah, so it means that some of the Crémant that we might find on the market would have less time on the lees, and so as you point out, you know, the bubbles won't be so fine, probably won't be so persistent, but you'll have less complexity in the wine. You know, that extra time on the lees gives a little bit more breadth on the palate, and certainly a complexity. So you're going to get so much more out of the wine if it just has a little bit more time on the lees. So, but I think for everybody, some people love the much more mature style of Cuvée, which has been even longer, you know, a long time on the lees, but that isn't for everybody. So I think it's, you know, it's wonderful. You produce quite a range of length of time on the lees, don't you? And also different styles as well.
Yes. And you have to come to taste them all. And
I can certainly recommend that. The Dopff has a wonderful tasting room just at the as you arrive at Riesling. So you can taste an enormous range of wines there. It's well worth a visit, I can certainly say. And you live there now, Marlène. You've only recently moved to Riesling, I think.
Yes.
And is that difficult? It must be harder to leave work behind?
Oh, alors it's very handy. Can I say this? Handy, yes, because I don't have to take my car to go to work.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you have always your job in mind. But it's a fantastic place. We have a fantastic view on the Schoenenbourg, on a small village called Zélambert.
Yep.
We can see the Black Forest from here. This is just fantastic. On the Schoenenbourg, you have a lot of there are family of rabbits, and you can see them every morning. We can see them. They are wild rabbits, and they are running in the vineyard. That's just yes, that's fantastic.
Do they actually damage the vines?
No. Alors maybe the young vines, but we are protecting them.
Yeah.
But no, they don't damage vines. No.
Nice to see that bit of nature out of your window.
Yes. Yes.
And are there a lot of visitors in Alsace at the moment? Have visitors come back?
Yes.
Tourists?
A lot of tourists, yes. Our tasting room is very busy every day since the beginning of July. And we are waiting a lot of people this year again. And we are very happy with this because we have a great tasting team. And they are explaining each cuvée, each Crémant, each Grand Cru. They really take time to explain people our job and our style.
Yeah. Excellent. Okay. Does anyone else have any other questions, I wonder?
I think, Joe, following your comment there about visiting in the tasting room, members, maybe like you'll do the same as me, and as soon as we finish, I'll be checking flights and flight times. And
I can thoroughly recommend it. Although I must admit, I remember going one time. I used to go quite often towards the end of the year, and sometimes it wasn't ideal because it would clash with the time of the Christmas markets, which is it's a magical time to be there. But it's very busy, it's crowded, but also the hotels are more expensive, of course. And I remember one time I rented a little apartment in Riesling instead of staying in a hotel, which was fine, it was perfect. But when I arrived, the owner said, oh, and by the way, I would suggest you don't move your car this week. And it hadn't occurred to me that it would be so busy that they said, you know, basically what they meant was if I moved my car, I then wouldn't find a parking space again. So you have to keep that in mind. So yeah, if you go at Christmas, it's probably better to use the shuttle buses rather than have your car there.
Yes.
That wasn't very easy.
But the Easter season and the September are very nice moments also to come.
I think,
And-
yeah, beautiful time of year.
And there is less people and you really can enjoy the restaurant, the hotel, and all the facilities.
And Riesling is an astonishing place because it's not a big place at all, but it has a lot of restaurants, including your own very good restaurant, which I've been lucky enough to eat in a number of times. So that's highly recommended as well. So yeah, there are plenty of places to eat and drink just in Riesling, let alone in the whole of Alsace.
Yes. But I just recommend to book the restaurant now if you want to come, because it's quite difficult. Yesterday evening we wanted to eat in a restaurant and they were all full because we didn't book. It's a pity.
Those busy times, yeah.
Yes.
I guess we need to remember that. Yeah. Well, Marlène, thank you so much for giving us your time on a Friday evening. Fiona, my new colleague Fiona, who is now in charge of Alsace, was very sorry that she couldn't be here, but she had a long planned family camping trip. So luckily the rain has stopped, but I think they're going to be very warm in a tent tonight, wherever they are.
I hope she has some Cuvée Julian with her.
That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? It certainly would. Yeah. So I hope so. But I'm sure you'll see her soon in Alsace.
Yes.
Or maybe here again if you are able to come to our tastings in November, which would be wonderful. But yeah, thank you so much. And it's been delightful to see you again. And I hope to come back for only for pleasure, not for work next time.
Okay, but we will welcome you with a great pleasure. And I really enjoy working with you.
Yeah, and us with you. So
thank you.
May I raise a glass to your 450 years? I'll get it right this time.
Thank you. And to the Wine Society also.
And to the Wine Society's 150th. So it's a nice partnership to toast. And thank you so much for this evening, and wishing everyone a really good weekend and enjoy your glass of Alsace wine.